Alrighty, everyone, thanks for joining us. We're down here at Wonderfest at the 25th anniversary, and we're lucky enough to be in a room full of talent. Everybody, introduce yourselves.
I'm Steve Riojas. I'm one of the old monster kids. I was probably the age of Jason's uncle, because I had all those collections, all the Aurora monsters and all that, and I was in front of the TV constantly. So it's like that's what I did. Then you get into rock and roll music and all that stuff. Next thing you know, I saw Terry Webb's book, Son of the Garage Kid. They ate my wallet at some comic store, and then I opened that up and I go, oh my God, now I have to have all this stuff. And that's, you do. Yeah, and I do, yeah. And that was my quest, to have them all. So, yeah, and I've been painting, amazing figure modeler, doing that for about 10 years, I think. I work for Sideshow Collectibles right now. So it's been good. It's been fun, a lot of cool stuff.
Life-size dinosaurs.
Life-size dinosaurs, yeah, thanks, Dan. I forgot about that. Worked with Charlie McGrady and CM Studios, and we did a couple collections of life-size dinosaurs, including a 40-foot T-Rex. And so I was painting those, and with incredible deadlines. We got to get this 40-foot T-Rex painted in 3 days. And oh yeah, I can do that.
And it's 99 degrees.
And 99 degrees, yeah. All the hardest, but it's good. And that stuff, I'm proudest about. I have in the Chicago Field Museum.
I was just gonna say, yeah.
There's I painted the Pteranodon that's hanging over Sue.
Every time my students go there, I go, "Did you look up when you walk in the door and see that pterodactyl?"
Yeah.
And Steve painted that.
Yeah, that's a kick,
Jason Walker. I'm a painter, sculptor. I have actually a master's degree in sculpture, but more on the fine art kind of thing. I've been painting model kits since I got my first miniature when I was in kindergarten, and it's just kind of gone from there into this. And I got into it mostly. My grandma had my uncle's Aurora model kit collection in her basement, and every time I'd be over there and get babysat, she would bring them out, and I would just be sitting there fascinated with them, like, oh my God, I want to do these, and it went from there. And I just kind of ended up, I think it was around 92 or 91 that I got my first. I saw a pinhead at the hobby shop, and I was like, oh, I want one of those, and then it just kind of spiraled from there. Ended up, first Wonderfest was 95, I think, and I've been coming ever since. I got what to do. I'm an elementary school art teacher too, so I'm always constantly doing painting and just around involved in this kind of stuff. So,
Scott Johansen, I guess I'm the boxed kit collector in the room, but I have, believe it or not, actually done some painting and building and casting. I do a lot of casting. Produced a few of my own kits. Started out, I'm probably young for the hobby as far as the baby boomers go. At 50, not quite as old as Steve, but I had older brothers that were Steve's age, and so they kind of steered me in this crazy direction of the Aurora kits. And
that's Uncle Steve.
Uncle Steve, sorry. Yeah.
Uncle Creepy.
Uncle Creepo. And yeah, so and then I think my first Wonderfest was the same as Jason's, Wonderfest 95. I came up with a mutual friend of Rob's and mine, Kurt Krause. And I had actually sold my Aurora collection at that point and was kind of out of it. And then I came up here to Wonderfest, down here to Wonderfest, and got hooked.
I'm Dan Colonna. I was, as a kid, into all the same things that everybody else around here was. Painting a lot of plastic kits. Started doing other things. I've always been into illustration, drawing, painting, that sort of thing. Long before I discovered garage kits, I wanted to start painting dimensional things, so I even started sculpting at one point to paint something like that. And then one day I opened up Airbrush Action, and there was an article on David Fisher, and that's when I first saw this garage kit things and started seeking them out. And a couple of years later, came to Wonderfest for the first time, started painting for Amazing Figure Modeler, and kind of pretty much did a lot of commission jobs, things like that. Almost everything I've painted is in somebody else's collection, not mine. But I have a few of my favorites there, and kind of doing more back into illustration work now, but I still paint the occasional garage kit.
Thad Rhodes, like everybody else, I built plastic models as a kid, and not too many figures. I think I missed out on the Aurora kits, but I remember the neighbor kid. He had the Dracula and the Frankenstein, and I remember really digging those. And I ended up picking them up at an antique store years later, and painted them, and thinking, oh, these figures are cool. I could get into this. And then it was my buddy Matt Clemens here. He found this website called Gremlins in the Garage. Oh, yeah. And that was back in the day when you would click on a gallery and you would have to wait like a half an hour, 45 minutes for the thumbnails to load. So you go watch a movie or something and come back and look at all that cool stuff. And then we got to make it out to Wonderfest, and the rest is history. And I'm just basically a kit painter, and just enjoy doing that. But it's been good times.
Yeah.
Matt Clemens. I've been a modeler since basically 5 years old. Did all the stuff, a lot of military. My dad got me into World War II since he was a bombardier and a B-17. Built a lot of planes, a lot of tanks. Then discovered Aurora kits, became an Aurora kid. And unfortunately, I blew all mine up. I've been painting for quite a while and really enjoy it.
Well, being that it's the 25th anniversary this year, and Wonderfest is the oldest show for the figure modelers. Now, other shows have come and gone through the years. Why do you think Wonderfest has endured the 25 years compared to all the other shows?
Location is a big part of it. I think some of the LA shows or West Coast shows are great because there's so many people there, but that are into that sort of thing. But Louisville being as central as it is, it's close enough for, I'm in Florida, Steve's in Colorado, Jason and Scott are coming from Chicago. So it's a flight for me and others, but it's an easy drive for so many people. And it's just dedicated to garage kits and a lot of sci-fi kits too, but a lot of the other ones have so much other things that they kind of spread it thin.
Well, I know for me, I've been coming since 2000. What I love about it is the comfort. I've gone to some of the other shows and you're just kind of walking around and you're just like, I don't know. But you come here and it doesn't even seem like a year has passed since you've talked to everybody else. I think it's the camaraderie.
Yeah, it's true.
And it just, I don't know, I always say it feels like you're coming home.
Yeah, or 2 years since you've talked to anyone, you mean?
Yeah, all the friendships we make from our first show, and then we keep going to these shows, and it's like, God, it's almost like we're a family now. It's
right.
The Thanksgiving dinner,
Yeah. In '99 was Steve and I, my first show. We never met each other in person, but a mutual friend of ours, Anthony Mestis, got us connected on AOL, and we ended up sharing a room that year. And I was a little jealous because the whole room was full of Steve's kids, and I think I had one kid because that's all I could afford. But we've been friends ever since.
And the showroom's like that too. It's still mostly full of Steve's kits and a small smattering of everyone else's.
Oh yeah, I'll paint for anybody. I don't know what's wrong with me.
You're prolific.
Yeah.
I was just down with William Stout, and he was saying that out of all the conventions he goes to, this is his favorite because he says it's comfortable and he loves everybody, and everybody's so friendly and nice. And I overheard someone else say this is their family reunion. They come here once a year to reunite with their family, and it's the only time, sometimes the only time of year I get to see my friends. So
yeah, the other shows are good. It's not like they're not good, but it's something like coming home or something. It sounds weird to say that, but it's true.
And just the reputation. The word Wonderfest is the top.
It helped being first too. I believe being first definitely helped. They set the bar, and after the 5th show, when they switched to this hotel and they had Harryhausen for a guest, the difference between the 5th and 6th show was night and day. Mm-hmm. And Jason, I think, was here for it. I don't know if any of the rest of you guys were, but it was crazy, the difference from the old small hotel to this.
Talking Wonderfest grew its beard.
Yes, definitely.
Talking to Scott this past week, we figured out we're both in the running. We've both been coming 20 years without missing a show, both being from '95, and it's like, I would feel horrible if I didn't come one year, and I think that's what keeps me coming back. If I miss out, like miss this show, I'll miss seeing people that I've seen now for the last 20 years in a row, and that I'll be like, oh, I let them down, I wasn't there, and it's like that is my family. Like I come here to feel normal. Like it's like I go back home, I can't talk to anybody about this stuff. I might know, like I live by Scott, but there's like 3 people around there that even know what I do and understand it. So to come here and spend 2 days just talking stupid stuff about model kits and toys and feel just normal and just not have to worry about it. I think that's what brings a lot of people back too, is just that this is family for a lot of people. And to see people just from all over the country, and not even just country, but all over the world, coming here to Louisville to be like, hey, here's my stuff, look what I made. And that's what I like about this show. And I'll miss that if I don't come too, is just seeing new stuff. Like to me, one of the most important things is being creative, having people around that still make things with their hands, even if it is through a computer or whatever. But if we don't keep doing this, the art of people making things is going to go away, and that's. I think
it's like
I'm worried about that.
The award show too. When they have, I like going there just to see everybody, waiting for awards, waiting for the names, and I got this and that, and then going up there. It's just like just being the modeler is more important than anything else. And I just love going in there.
Yeah. It's also great having come to this show for this long, to know people and to see how they've progressed, how they've grown from a basic painter to something that is just simply beautiful.
The other thing, like people who we know that now have kids that are entering model kits in the contest, and they're kicking butt with their paint jobs, to see that there are kids still doing it, because that if we don't have kids doing this, it's going to go away. And it's awesome.
Modeling is graying quickly.
Yeah, it is.
Going back to what you said about seeing the new stuff, it's also seeing the old stuff. You go to the contest room and there's a kit you might not have seen in 15 or 20 years, and you might remember it, but you see it again and it's like, and it has an awesome paint job or something. It's like, wow, I remember that thing. In a lot of cases it's buried in the closet somewhere, but a lot of times it's just like you never picked it up, but seeing it again, it's like, wow, I kind of would like to go back and get that thing.
Just seeing all the work in person too. I mean, just the paint jobs, you can never ever appreciate the same thing on a picture or online. It's just, no matter how good your photographs turn out, it's just not the same.
Yeah, it's great. I love seeing the contest.
Yeah.
And all the stuff. I mean, we started on making a better entry, but at the same time, I just love seeing the entry and seeing what the guys do. It's what they have, like 700 this time.
Yeah, just under 700.
And it just gets more and more. I mean, that's a good sign. I love seeing this stuff.
That means people still like making things too.
Yeah.
It's like you said, back to getting the contest. You spend months or all year working on your kit, and then you sit there in anticipation, waiting for your award or what you're gonna get, and then it all pays off.
Right.
And going back to the contest and how did, this is more of a technique thing, but I think a lot of people rely too much on one technique. There's a lot of washing, a lot of dry brushing, or a lot of airbrush, but it really takes, each thing needs a little bit of its own thing, and, sometimes it's layers of things, but, don't just rely on one method of getting to the end.
I would say too, don't build for contests. There's so many people that build. We used to talk about this a lot in the younger days. And there's guys that come every year and they want to build for the contest and they want to win something and they want to go home with all the awards or some of the awards and whatever. Build because you like it. I mean, entering the contest, I'm sure, is a hoot, and you guys have all won something. And I'm sure it's great. But, it's for the love of the building, like you guys have said, creating something, building something, and putting it on your shelf. And if you enjoy it on your shelf, great. And I kid when I say I'm the box kit collector, but the guy that maybe isn't the greatest painter in the world, that has his kits up on the shelf, is probably enjoying the hobby more than I am, because I want to be able to build mine so perfectly before I put them on the shelf. So enjoy it, and enjoy the hobby, and build things, and it doesn't have to be gold medal worthy if you like
Right.
it sitting there.
Absolutely, and don't come in with expectations that it's got to be a gold, because you're setting yourself up for disappointment a lot of times. If you just do like Scott says, have fun with it, and then go from there.
Just because it doesn't win a gold doesn't mean it's not one of the coolest things in the room. It means there could be something simple like some seam lines on it, and that's going to keep you from getting a gold, unless everything else, you know, just completely overshadows that and you don't. But it can be something as simple as that, you know, that takes you away.
Yeah. The best way to get better the next year is to be in the contest, I would think, because I've learned more when I first started doing it, of seeing what other people did. And once you see it in real life in front of you, it's nice to look at a bunch of pictures on the internet, but it's a bigger kick to yourself to see the real thing in front of you and talk to the guy who did it, you know?
It's nice now they put the pictures up during the award ceremony, because a lot of times you don't know the name of a kit.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm like, oh, what was that? You know, I won a gold, but I don't remember what that was.
Right.
I know you guys had mentioned a little bit, you wanted to talk about one of the things is during the contest, you know, people, they get their bronze, their silver, or their gold, but they're never really told why they place that way. So why don't you guys go ahead and talk about what you look at, what you look for, what's going to, you know, take that bronze up to a gold for everybody.
I'll start. I think one of the things for, you know, as far as a gold, the kit has to be perfect. No seam lines, no piece that's missing paint, you know, like inside the collar. If it's a tight spot to get, you got to get it if you want to do a gold. Additions to the piece are going to add to it, but not if they're not also to the same level.
Do you think there's a way that people can overdo it? Because sometimes you see that it's almost too busy. Is it? Do you guys see that it's like, well, it's kind of neat, but there's just so much stuff, it's overwhelming that subtracts from it?
Usually they go for these bases that overshadow the figure, and then you don't see the figure inside the base, even though the bases are beautiful. It's you got to have that be more of an accent rather than you don't need his entire house. I mean, I made that mistake myself, doing an entire roller coaster for the Beast of 20,000 Fathoms when I should have just done a part, but I got carried away. So I see how easy it is to do it, but
it goes back to that bigger is not always better. It's very true. You end up with something that takes up one whole table, and it's you don't put enough time into everything when you should. You got to put it into one thing. And really focus on that one thing. If everyone's looking all over the place, it's tough. Especially if you buy something off for your diorama and buy it at the store and stick it in that diorama and you don't do anything to it, that takes away from the whole thing. It's kind of tough.
When you can pick out what the found items are on the kit, then it takes you out of the believability of it. And back to what Dan said, is the focus should still be on the figure. And,
any custom bases. Composition, you know, study artwork, whatever, but composition, bouncing the eye from, you know, trying to keep it on the figure and not drifting off or whatever.
And to bring it back from the like bronze up to a gold level thing, when we're judging something, we're gonna look at everything. Like if you didn't paint the inside of a collar where the neck touches the collar, and when you washed, your wash kind of settled in there and it doesn't match the rest of the skin, we're going to notice that, and that's not going to get you a gold. And it's like, when we judge, we feel really bad because it's this, you know how much work and how much this means to somebody, but it's like, Wonderfest Gold has always been, that's it, like that's the best there is, and you can't get that with a collar that's not painted, or your iris is off by like a centimeter. It really shouldn't earn a gold. You've got to really look at every little thing you do when you are. And it took me, I've only got one gold at Wonderfest, and it took me my almost 19 years to get that gold of entering contest after contest of getting bronze and merit, and then a silver occasionally, and listening to what people told me and not having hurt feelings about that, and just being like, oh, maybe this is a year, and then finally it happened. I'm like, all right, I'm done. I'm never entering again.
And taking your time. It's not a race to do the most kits. You're better off doing one perfect kit than 3 rushed kits.
Yeah, definitely.
And never stop looking at the kit.
Yeah.
Just never, because you're going to always find, oh crap, I missed that.
Sometimes you need to step away from it though for a few days if you're focused on it before a show, and you start just you forget what it looks like, and
Get tunnel vision going.
This is a weird one, but dust your kit before you bring it. Like we've seen, I don't know how many times in Dynasty where people have cobwebs. I saw it in the contest this year. There was cobwebs on somebody's model kit that they entered. And it's like, if you don't even have time to take that and dust it off when you put it in, that's bad.
But at the same time, we understand if a kit gets broken during shipment.
Yeah,
it's good to make a note of it on the comment section of your thing, but usually we could tell, okay, that looks like it happened during shipping. We're not going to take off for that.
Right. Yeah. I'm always real easy with that stuff.
Yeah.
In the comment section on your card when you fill it out, use that. Like, because there's so many times we're like, well, what's this? And we go to flip that and look at that thing, what the person wrote about what they did to this model. Sometimes, because we don't know all the kits in the world, so we don't know if they scratch built this part or if this came with the kit or what they actually did to it. So if you take the time to, it's going to help your chances too, and put down every single little thing you did on there. Don't just write the name of the kit and leave it. It's at least write something to help us out.
I remember seeing a kit where it was just said at the description, heavily altered. Okay.
Yeah, if you might not familiar with the original kit, you might not know that they resculpted the hair or added this or repositioned it. You might think it's just out of the box, or maybe they sculpted the thing and you don't know if they don't tell you. So
Right.
And one tip too, make sure you paint both sides of the kit. Now you can get away with winning a gold medal and have one side of a fin painted one color and not. I'm not going to say who in the room did that.
Go ahead.
No, I'm not. But yeah, make sure you paint both sides. But the judges, yeah, they can't overlook some things sometimes. That being said, it was a gold medal paint job, whether it was painted on both sides or not. But it was just clever.
The trick is to make it so unstable that they don't dare touch it to see the other side.
Another thing is when you do ask for criticism, don't get offended when somebody gives you honest criticism. I know there are certain places where true criticism is frowned upon, where everything is, that's great. And people don't get to be better painters by constantly getting praise and not getting true criticism.
Yeah, mediocrity will breed more mediocrity. If you want to get better, ask for the help. And like Matt just said, don't get offended. Take the help, take the advice, and you will get better.
Yeah, everybody's great. Everyone loves talking about their stuff, how they did this and how they did that.
Yeah, and this community is really good about sharing what it took to go there. I know there's some areas in the art world that are very open and help, and I think that's great, and this being one of them, because everybody benefits from it. If everybody was hiding how they got around to getting this or that done, and everybody's having to invent it themselves, it's just going to keep everything back. But by sharing it, it pushes people, it helps them get further along, and it pushes the whole hobby as a whole in general.
I like the podcast idea. I think this is awesome. Like when you guys started doing this, I'm like, they need more of this. I really think to take the internet and use this podcast idea to put more people, just talk about models, get this kind of stuff out there more. I think you guys are, thank you. I think this is a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
And being at Wonderfest where we're all together makes it possible to do it in this way, a group chat.
Yeah.
And I would be happy to do an editorial for you gentlemen anytime you want and send it to you.
You don't want that.
One thing I'll say, thanks to you guys with the Monster Model Review. It's a fun little thing. You guys have, 150 of them now?
Yeah.
Okay. You guys are just doing it. You like the hobby. You've always liked the hobby. I've known Rob probably almost 20 years now, too. And Rob has just always enjoyed the hobby. It's never been about the recognition. It's never been about the look at us, look what we're doing. It's just all about promoting the hobby.
Well, I mean, it's a hobby. It's supposed to be fun. Why not keep it fun?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, there's pettiness and everything, but it's all fun. Let's have a good time.
Yeah, I think a lot of times it is a hobby, but people try to turn it into a career, and that's when things, and I get that,
The dark side.
but that's where things get a little too serious, and it's like they go to a show and it's going to make or break, their next couple of months, So I understand that, but at the same time, being a hobby, most people aren't going to sustain a career from it. It's just, you know, an additional thing.
Do you want to get Moses snoring?
Moses, what did you think of this show? Well, I guess we'll wrap this podcast up. I'd like to thank everybody for taking their time. Everybody say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye, and thank you.
Goodbye.
See you next year.
Thanks for
Yeah,
listening.
next year.
It's really good, guys. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was cool.